My name is Stephanie Miller. Thank you for joining me here today with Team Edge as I present to you the modern Shag. I already prepped my client Philip here by shampooing him with our Paul Mitchell Tea Tree Special shampoo, followed with our hair and body moisturizer as a great leave-in conditioner, but also as my cutting aid today. Here's my hair and body moisturizer. I took just 2 pumps of this and worked it all the way through here, starting towards the roots, and worked it mids through my ends. To start sectioning up for our modern Shag today, I'm going to be sectioning Philip into our classic T-square parting, creating the 4 quadrants that go here from 12 o'clock at his nose all the way to 6 o'clock in the back of the head, creating a nice even profile section straight down the middle. Once I've created my middle section all the way down the middle, I'm now going to create one that lives between 3 o'clock from behind my right ear, and then another one from behind 9 o'clock my left side, here behind my left ear. Not only will these clock positions help me section my client here, but the clock positions will also assist me as I work throughout my haircut and allow me to know where I'm at and where I'm going to go next. And I will be using these hair grippers to lock this hair in place for me. Now that I have Philip sectioned here into his 4 sections, I'm going to take my first 2 sections here in my front working area. We're going to be working across the top of the head. The very first thing that I'm going to do for Philip here is I'm going to create a mohawk parting, but my mohawk parting is going to stop once I reach the apex area, the top of my crown. So I'm going to stop where I sectioned out at my 3 o'clock and my 9 o'clock. Once I have my mohawk strip here, the width of my comb, I'm going to elevate my hair all the way up. I'm going to start out by creating my guide here in my mohawk strip for my top working area. I'm going to be taking this and cutting it to 5 inches here, using my comb to help me establish that length. And I'm going to turn Philip here so we can see. We're combing straight up using a flat cutting angle and also not cutting past our second knuckle. This mohawk piece here that I've just created will now become my traveling guide while I continue to stand here at my 3 o'clock position. I'm going to take a horizontal section and I'm going to elevate. Find my guide here at my mohawk and I'm going to cut to my guide. I'm continuing using that flat cutting angle as I work through my horizontal sections on the side. My next section will be here at the parietal. And once I've worked through the section that I've already cut, I'm going to comb it over to the opposite side to allow me to keep my sections nice and clean as I work through my dominant side. I'm going to continue using my traveling guide each horizontal section, combing the hair straight up and continuing to use that flat cutting angle. I'm using nice even tension and I'm cutting straight across. I'm not point cutting because as I drop my sections and they lay flat, it will allow a nice soft flowy look, which is one of the things that we just love about our shag haircut. Once I reach the section here past my parietal, I'm going to take all of the hair here below and we're going to comb this all the way up. We double check to make sure that we see our guide. There is our guide. And we're going to cut to our guide. Once we've cut that panel, we're going to take the hair, repart that down the middle, and comb and check that for response. We see that the perimeter here is able to fall out. By over directing that hair up and forward, we're able to maintain all of this length, but cut those layers nice and clean and square throughout the top of the head. And check that for response. By taking all of that weight out of the haircut, layering that throughout the top, we're able to really free up this texture here for Philip, making the most out of that natural wave that he has within his hair. And I just love the effect that that's had. From here, we're going to go on to our non-dominant side, my left side. So I'm going to switch places with Philip here. Continuing to use my mohawk strip as my traveling guide. We're going to go back to the middle and find that guide and comb all the hair that we just cut on our dominant side out of the way. I am now going to take my next section here, combing straight up, ensuring that I can find my guide as I turn here so we're able to see as I work through these sections. I am now going to be starting my section here at the back, working towards my front hairline, but I'm continuing to use a flat cutting angle. I'm also being careful to take sections that are no wider than the width of my comb as I work through my top working area. Because I'm using a flat cutting angle, I want the shape here in the front to be nice and square. If I take sections that are too big, I run the risk of over directing my panel here, and if I over direct too much, that could end up affecting the ultimate shape that we're going to be creating here for Philip. And once I've completed that section, just like we did on our opposite side, we're just going to comb that up and out of the way for him. Continuing to take these horizontal sections as I work down towards my parietal. We're going to comb straight up, find my guide. Always like to double and triple check that I can see my guide as I'm working through my top working area. If I can't see my guide, I'm not going to cut. I'm also not going to cut past the second knuckle here. get that out of the way, but I always want to take a little piece of the section that I just cut to allow that guide to travel on through. So as I reach my parietal ridge here, that's going to be my next section. We see here that I'm taking just a little bit of what I've cut before, and then my section here at my parietal is only the width of my comb. Combing straight up. Oh, my fingers were hiding my guide there, so I'm gonna just recomb that. And turn him one more time so we're able to see, starting here in the back. And recombing these sections. Once we've reached the parietal on this side, just like we did with our dominant side, we are going to take all of the hair that lives below the parietal and we're going to gather that together here. So everything that lives from the sideburn, top of the ear, below that parietal, we are going to comb this section up. It's going to be a condensed section. That's why it looks a little bit thicker than the ones we did on the side, and that's because the hair is not as dense here on the side. I'm going to also be over directing my perimeter like we did on that side. So we see here as I raise that up, there's really not a lot of hair left for me to cut when I take this condensed section past the perimeter. I said perimeter, I meant parietal. And then once I finish that, we can just comb that and double check that for response. And we see how that looks, how that lays, making sure that that lays the same on this side as it did on the opposite side. And a really good way for us to check is we're gonna cross check, and then we can also check for balance. So I can stand behind Philip here, take my front working area and just feel that length there and make sure that that's even on both sides. Remember, we cut that mohawk to 5 inches. So throughout my top working area, both of these strips on either side following that traveling guide should be nice and even. So not only does it feel even when I check for balance, if I took horizontal panels this way, I could go ahead and take a cross check in the opposite direction across the top of the head. I can take it right in the middle, here a little bit further back, and when I lift all the way up top, I should be able to see that we have a nice line right through there. Nice and even here for Philip. So that has completed the first portion in the front of our shag here for Philip, and we are now ready to start connecting into our back working area. We're now going to take our mohawk strip and use that to help us create our traveling guide throughout our back working area. So I'm going to find my mohawk strip from my front working area one more time. And when I comb that straight up, I see that I have that pre-established length right here as I reach my apex. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just gently set that to the side for just a moment as I create my 6 o'clock section here. As I get my 6 o'clock section here, I'm going to use the length that's at my mohawk strip, that 5 inches there, to help me establish my length here for my 6 o'clock. Now I'm going to angle upwards, shorter towards the front, longer towards the back. And I'm going to bring my section at 6 o'clock all the way up to that guide until I run out of hair. And I run out of hair essentially once that perimeter is too short to be over directed to travel up to my guide. And so everything that drops out, we're just going to let that drop. That's gonna help preserve the length, but ensure that we're able to layer throughout this zone here, and remove some of that weight where it tends to be more dense. Now that I've created this first section here, that is going to become my traveling guide as I work throughout from 6, 5, and 4, and then also on my non-dominant side as well. I'm ensuring that I'm standing in front of the section that I'm cutting, and that's going to help me maintain consistency and body positioning. And as I work through these sections in the back, these are going to be vertical sections that I'm taking here. Nice and clean vertical sections. And we love that hair and body moisturizer that we worked in there, because that's allowing me to keep my partings nice and clean as I work through my back area. Go all the way up. Find my guide. And there's going to be some sections where we don't have a lot to cut. That's okay. We're not going to go hunting for things to cut. Remember, Philip here, he generally likes the length of his hair. So we're really just putting in shape where it doesn't really exist here. Creating a lot of movement with these shorter pieces throughout the top. So we're leaning out the sides, but keeping a lot of shape here throughout his top working area. There's my section and a bit of my guide. And I work my way here all the way through until I reach my 3 o'clock. And when I reach my 3 o'clock, you'll see that it's going to be a little disconnected here. That we're eventually going to meet up with that section at 3 o'clock. So those shorter hairs will be there, and that will be our stopping point for our section on our dominant side of the head. So I keep this clean through here. And it's okay that it's disconnected. That disconnect there is what helps it be a shag. If I were to connect it here through here, that would lend to a different shape and he'd have more of that mullet. And after I connect that side, or work my way around that side until I reach that disconnection there, just comb that, check that for response, and wow, look at all that movement, look at all that texture, just by freeing up that weight there that lives throughout the interior. Now that I've done my dominant side, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna complete the same thing on our non-dominant side. And so I worked my way from 6 to 5 to 4, but now I'm going to want to match that here as I work through my other sections. You can see the difference from where we cut and we didn't cut. Look at that between the two sides, the heaviness that lives here on this side. So to make sure that I'm able to stay consistent with my body positioning, I'm going to now stand here at my 6 o'clock and bring everything up, but I'm going to work my way outwards. So let's see. So I've just turned Philip around here so we're able to see as we work through our non-dominant side. As I go back to finding my mohawk strip and my 6 o'clock traveling guide here. I'm going to be working my way outward now from 6 to 7 to 8, just to make sure that I'm still being consistent with the way that I'm elevating and approaching my sections here. And able to see my guide starting from the shortest point and then working my way towards the longest point of each of my sections. Elevate up. I can now see my guide here. Turn. See my guide here on the interior of my section. And you see on this side, I'm only doing that slight diagonal. I don't want to be too dramatic with it because we still want a stronger shape. So I don't want too much movement, too much flowiness. And you see as I reach the top of my section, there's my perimeter dropping. And I'll take my vertical sections here, same as I did on my dominant side. Keeping it nice and clean. And we just elevate straight up and let that perimeter drop out. We're not going to go looking for hair to cut. We really want to stick to our game plan, or else we run the risk of creating a different shape. And we really want to see all this movement, all this texture, and we want to stick to that game plan. So I just cut my 7 o'clock and now I am here at my 8 o'clock section. And it's gonna be like it was on our dominant side, where I'm going to meet my 9 o'clock here and find that it is disconnected, which is gonna be wonderful. That means we're right on track for this awesome shag shape that we're creating for Philip here. Because I mean, he was lost in the Amazon for a little while and he liked his long locks, but he definitely knew that it was time to get it all cleaned up. And we see here that if I were to go too far, that eventually it's just going to be super short and drop out. Perfect. There's that cut there. And after we finish that section, we're just going to check that for response. See the way that hair responds to the way we just take that little bit of length off. Wow, look at that texture. Look at that movement there for him throughout the top. Now what we're able to do for him is we can go ahead and we can resection him back into that T-parting. From 9 o'clock to behind the ear. Once we have Philip sectioned off back into our 4 square parting, we are going to tidy up his front working area here. I'm going to take the section, its part here in the middle, and I'm going to create a parting right here at the parietal where the head starts to round. I'm going to comb all the hair forward. And when I comb all the hair forward here, I'm going to take my section and I'm going to over direct it over to the other side. When I over direct it over to the other side, so it's going to shift over 2 clock positions, I see where it's shorter here at my interior. I'm going to cut across and use that as my guide. When I comb that, I see that that gives that nice little swoopy fringe there. We absolutely love the way that that sits and lays. After I do that, I'm going to repeat the same to my non-dominant side. Separate the hair here at the parietal. I'm going to comb everything forward. Shift. See how short the hair here is at my interior. That's going to be my guide. As I cut towards the middle. And we see how that just combs, lays nice and even and balanced on either side. And that's gonna give shorter here, a little bit longer in the back, and give him this nice backwards movement that he can style as a part of his shag. And when you comb that down, it connects here to the length on the sides. Once we've cut that fringe area, or our front working area, as we call it here at Sport Clips, I'm now ready to move on to my perimeter. We're now ready to cut Philip's perimeter here. I'm going to take my 2 quadrants and I'm going to comb them straight down. It's a great place for me to check in with my client and just to confirm how high up and much length we want to take off here at the base. And I see here that the hair is more thin towards the bottom, and we see this general line of fullness as we get here upwards more towards the top of his shoulders. I'm going to start in the middle and just take an additional 3 inches here off the bottom for Philip using point cutting. I'm going to start in the middle. And I'm using medium tension here on his hair because he has that nice wave there, and I really want to be mindful of that. I'm going to start in the middle and work my way outward towards the left side. I'm doing condensed sectioning as I'm working towards my back working area outward here on the left. Because of the density of his hair, I know that I'm able to do that. I'm also ensuring that I'm standing at 6 o'clock as I cut through that back working area so I can keep a nice square shape. Once I work from my middle outward to my left, I'm now going to work from the middle outward towards my right, continuing to point cut using that medium tension on the hair and not going past my second knuckle as I point cut. And of course, we check for response and see how that's looking. Take a step back, ensure that that line is going to be nice and even for him. Once we've worked through our back working area, we can now come and stand on our right side of the head, standing at 3 o'clock, and we're going to comb everything down. From cutting our layers throughout the top and our front working area here, we can see that we don't have too much on this side. So standing at 3 o'clock, I'm going to comb everything down. And I'm gonna bring that corner around here at my 4 o'clock. It's gonna come around to my right side and help me establish my length for this side of the head. And once I comb my beard hair out of the way, you should see that you shouldn't have hardly anything to take off, but we can point cut what 1 or 2 little ends that we may have here on this side of the head. And we can do the same. We're gonna turn Philip around and we will do the same here on our non-dominant side. Comb everything straight down. We see that we have our corner here at 8 o'clock. I don't want to round my corner, but I do want to utilize that corner to help me establish my length on this side and take off just the 1 or 2 hairs that may be too long. And of course, I'm not getting those hairs mixed up with his beard that's right here and just a little too long. And once I've cut my perimeter, that is our shag, except we still have a little bit of texturizing to do. I'm ready to texturize Philip now, so I'm going to take the hair here at his parietal, the round of the head, and I'm going to section everything on top over to the other side. I'm grabbing my texturizing shears here and starting with the diagonal back section. I'm allowed to use my eyeballs here to really see where I have the extra little bit of thickness or really decide where I want that extra movement to live. With my diagonal back section, I'm also going to be taking my thinning shears also at a diagonal back. And when I find where I want to add that extra little texture, I'm going to insert my texturizing shears at that angle. I'm going to close, and as I close, I'm just going to gently glide out through the hair here. Nice and gentle. This is going to create shorter pieces on the interior, help remove some of those extra little bit of weights to some of those strands, and allow that natural wave to just really bounce up. But it's also going to assist me here when I style Philip. And it's going to allow him to be able to style his hair in multiple ways. We can either really embrace the texture that's in Philip's hair and keep it nice and wavy or curly, or we can also style it backwards for him using some of these really amazing Paul Mitchell products that we have with us today. I work through these diagonal back sections all the way until I reach my 6 o'clock position. And once I reach my 6 o'clock position, I'm going to repeat the same texturizing on my non-dominant side. And I like to take the same sections as I texturize the hair as I would if I was working through a haircut, and it helps just to be sure that I'm giving that same amount of even texturizing throughout my haircut. I'm not just texturizing one area in particular. We're getting that even movement all the way throughout. And of course, I always love to just check for response. Is this texturizing do what I want it to do with my shag? And it absolutely is. So remember, we're going to repeat the same thing on our non-dominant side. Once I reach my 6 o'clock, I'm going to stop, take my hair here at my parietal, and we're going to comb everything over to the opposite side. Taking that diagonal back section here. And you see I'm turning my texturizing shears over. So that way we're able to maintain that same diagonal back. really deciding where we want that texture to live. Having the hair just slightly damp while I do this texturizing is also assisting that hair to just glide through our texturizing shears. Always combing, checking that for wrist mods. Having to hold my shears a little different as I'm on my non-dominant side of the head, just to make sure I'm maintaining that diagonal back. The direction is important, and so is the consistency as we work through our sections. Once I've worked through my sides and back, I'm gonna come stand here at 6 o'clock behind Philip. And we're also going to texturize through our top working area. I can take the hair, split it here at 12 o'clock. Starting here in the crown at 6 o'clock, I can elevate my hair and see which pieces have that extra density, that extra thickness. And with our texture shears, we're gonna come up and then we're gonna slice away, doing some extra texturizing throughout the top, creating shorter pieces here and some extra internal texture. You see, as I come in, I'm also at a slight angle. And as I close my shears, I'm just gonna start scooping away with my texturizing shears. And just like I work through my sides and back, I'll work through my top working area, taking these nice vertical sections here, keeping that consistency. And once I've completed the right side of my head, I'm gonna repeat the same thing on the left side, my non-dominant side. But to help me maintain that consistency, I'm now gonna come stand here in front of Philip. So that way I'm still working from the outside of my section, from the round of the head towards that center guide. And just like when I work with my shears and I don't cut past the second knuckle, I'm also not going past the second knuckle as I work with my texturizing shears. I want to be sure that I'm really controlling the area that I'm texturizing and getting everything else up and out of the way.
can even see that huge difference that makes just by combing that hair. Look at the way that wave bounces and responds. We want to let that perimeter fall out because remember we already texturized our sides and backs, so we don't need to do too much of that. Our focus is now here throughout that front. And as we reach this last section here at 7 o'clock, we have now texturized our shag. And Philip is looking brand new. We can see all that movement through there. A nice, classic, clean shape that can stand the test of time. We love the shag. But it's not just all about the haircut. We're also going to be doing Philip's beard. We're gonna start out with Philip's beard here, first by sectioning all of the hair that is at mid-ear up and away, because this is where we're gonna start transitioning into his beard for him. We are going to be doing a scissor cut, long, rounded beard for him here. I'm gonna start out first by prepping the beard, combing all the way through it. We're going to establish the length here in the middle. We're gonna comb through, and we're gonna be taking a good 3 inches here off the bottom for him, which is still gonna leave a nice bit of length, but really bring it up to that line of fullness. We're gonna start cutting in the middle, making sure we're happy with that length there. And then we're going to, with light tension in our comb, cut outward to our left side. I'm not over directing the hair. I'm just following the comb from where it lives at its natural fall, and also getting the hair here up underneath. So it's okay if you have to go back 1 or 2 times just to get any extra hairs. Once I've done my left side, I'm gonna go back to the middle and work outward to my right. Light tension with the comb. I'm going to match up there to where that length is in the middle. Has a little bit of a wave in his beard, and there are some beards that have really strong growth patterns like Philip does here. So I comb through, get all of that off with my shears. For clients that tend to have a bit of a wave or some thickness throughout his beard or that curl, we're gonna do something a little bit different today. Not only are we shaping our beard, but we're gonna be sculpting the beard today as well. So prior to finishing cutting, now that I've established my length, I'm gonna reach for some tea tree shaping cream. I'm gonna take a dime size amount of my tea tree shaping cream, and I'm gonna work this through his beard. I love this for the beard because the cream based is nice and lightweight. And from the tea tree line, it's actually going to give that little bit of nourishment to the beard as well. Now that I've worked my tea tree shaping cream through, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to grab my vent brush and my blow dryer because we're gonna blow dry this beard. I'm using medium heat. I don't wanna go too hot. We're gonna come from up and under. Little bit of tension there. Use that tension. And you see we're slowly able to pull that wave out of the beard. It's okay to think differently. It's okay to teach your client to use new tools. Once you finish blow drying your client's beard, you see that bit of shaping cream, the tension from your vent brush, we're able to really pull out a lot of that wave. So now we can go back in and go from shaping our beard to now we can sculpt our beard with our shears. And we'll have Philip tilt his head back just a little bit so we can really see what we're creating here for him. We're just gonna go over these edges here with our shears and really shape and control. Really focus on that scissor control, and then we're gonna soften this corner here. Sometimes the instinct can be to like shave everything off past here, but we really wanna help keep his beard nice and full for him. He took the time to grow it out this long. So taking in and just slightly rounding out that corner there for him is really gonna clean it up, but not take away from the overall length. Tailor that bottom a little bit, get any of these extra little long hairs, come in from underneath. Just really teach him how he can use that tension, utilize those different tools that he has available to him to make the most out of his beard. And sure, maybe using a brush And a blow dryer on the beard is different, but you know, we used that blow dryer at that low medium heat. Just to redirect the beard, prepping the beard in order to be able to shape it is super important. And sometimes you have to think differently to help create the shape that you want, and educate your client on the tools he has available to him so he can achieve that even when he's at home and not just within the store. Then we're gonna go in and just do scissor over comb over the mustache, up over the top lip. Angle that out at a slight diagonal back until we connect to the corner of the mouth. And then we repeat on the other side. Meeting in the middle. Once you've cut either side of the mustache, we can go in and we can point cut up and around the lip. This is ideal for those gentlemen that really just love that nice, thick, full mustache and don't want to take that too short. They like a softer textured look. Maybe they don't like the crispiness that we get when we utilize those trimmers. Once you've scissor cut around the edges, now we can go in with our trimmers and do any additional fine detailing, like tapping our cheek line here and removing that additional hair off of our cheeks. If they really do like a super crispy mustache, you could go in here and clean up that way, or you could also lift the mustache here and tidy that hairline up here above the lip this way. This is one of those ways we can really take that up a notch for him, but once again, we're not making the overall mustache, we're not making that overall mustache any shorter, but we are able to clean that up there really clean around his lip line for him. If we have anything additional underneath, so we could have Philip here tilt his chin back, because first we shaped, then we sculpted. So now if we need to come in here and do any additional little touch up, just to really get that crispiness, that sharpness, we could tailor with our trimmers here. Excellent. And once you go all the way around those sides, feeling really good about how we're feeling with our beard. If we feel that we have any other little areas that we need to touch up, we can go back in just a little drop more and we'll finish that off with that shaping cream here. And now we're ready to style the top. To style our haircut here, our modern shag, first we're gonna be using a little bit of our construction paste here with Paul Mitchell. I love this fiber paste because it's gonna be the perfect base that we need for our shag here. I'm gonna take that nice dime size amount in my hand. Watch this. Ah, so fun. And we're gonna take that, and his hair is slightly damp here. And we're gonna take this paste and we're gonna scrunch that all throughout his hair. And you see as we scrunch, all this texture, let me bring him a little closer, all of this texture that he has in his hair is coming out. Shorter hair throughout the front, this extra length throughout the back. Look at his shag. Absolutely shagging. So good. All of that texture that's in there for him. Look at that. Philip would have never known when he came in here, he had all this movement, all this natural wave to his hair, but just by taking it, styling it, and choosing the right product for his hair. So we've scrunched all of this construction paste in here. Look at all of that, love that. We're now gonna take our blow dryer and we're gonna turn that fan on low. Low fan, low heat. And we're just gonna pinch and hover over. The further away I am, that less chance I have of a lot of frizz. Same with like the fan of my blow dryer. Low, low, low. Low and slow. Scrunch, pinch. Look at all that curl, look at all that bounce. That construction paste was the perfect base to give us all this movement, all this curl, all this texture. Really let that shag shine. But we're gonna pop just a little bit of our Mitch dry paste here. And we're gonna work this little bit here throughout the end. So I'm going to take just a nice dime size amount. Not only does it have just the best smell on planet Earth, but it's gonna be just that extra little bit that we need here to scrunch in through these ends. To really give that like rugged look to our shag, that dry texture that we just like really love to see here for him. We're gonna be styling Philip a second way today using Iron Grip from Paul Mitchell's Mitch line. We're gonna be taking our dime size amount, between a dime and a nickel, and we're gonna work that all the way through his damp hair. Just like the dry paste, I can't help but love the way the Iron Grip smells. This is gonna be our base for our second style because Philip has a job interview coming up. So as much as we love the textured look, we also want something that's gonna be nice and sleek for him that he can take from day to night, from the office to dinner. After you finish up with your blow dry, we're gonna use a little bit of our Mitch Reformer. Work it through both of your hands, and we're just gonna come up and underneath. And just use our fingers to spread all that texture through there. But what I love is that we still have this movement, we have this bit of texture here, but it's smooth. He decided he didn't want to embrace that curliness, but we still have that nice feather there throughout for him. We have this lift, this nice flow going on. 2 looks, 1 amazing haircut, the modern Shag.